You are listening to the Manument Podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm here with my buddy Glenn Johnson, investment advisor and founder of Jabez Financial right here in the Uncasville area. Now, Glenn, a lot of market risk, income pressure, that only gets worse when another factor enters the picture, and that's inflation. The inflation rate is currently 3.3%, up nearly a full percentage point in just 1 month, due largely to higher oil prices tied to the war. Now, the Fed saw this coming in its latest forecast and thinks that inflation will go even higher. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, calls it the skunk at the party. He warns that it could mean higher interest rates, falling markets, and a rush to cash. So what's the danger there for retirees, Glenn? Can you talk to us about your thoughts around this?
Yeah. See, when inflation goes up and markets fall, it affects everyone, but it affects retirees a lot more. And, it's not just an inconvenience for retirees. It's dangerous and can be life-changing. So the increase in inflation can lightly squeeze the breath out of a retiree's monthly cash flow. And it's kind of like financial COPD. I mean, you can live with it, but it's no fun.
Well, that's a vivid way to describe it because it doesn't hit all at once. It's kind of that slow squeeze. Like you just said, it just slowly squeezes people.
Yep. And as for falling markets, they can have far more significant real world implications, especially for retirees who are counting on their investments to provide for their retirement. For example, remember what happened in 2008, in the 2008 crash? Well, mind you, that was 18 years ago. So it's a bit of a distant memory at this point. Mm-hmm. But it was absolutely terrible and straight up devastating for some people. But as for most of us, most of you and me, it really wasn't that big of a deal at all because our lifestyle and our daily routine really didn't change much at all. Mm-hmm. So we still got up, we had breakfast, we put gas in the car, we went to work. Yeah. Yes, we saw our investments crash on our quarterly statements and we didn't like it, but that was it. We just saw something we didn't like. But our daily routine didn't change at all. But as for the people that had just retired and coming into my office for the first time in 2009, they told a different story.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean, I've never seen people so financially anxious and stressed out, and some in a flat out panic.
Yeah.
Because all of their retirement plans were just wiped out.
Well, and people in that position, there wasn't the extra shift that they could pick up. There wasn't a raise that was coming to make up the difference for them. That was their life savings. That was their future they were counting on.
Yeah, and that was it. They had made their investment and they're looking for their return. And that's, it's hard to watch.
Right.
And it took some of them 10 years to recover because the vacations they had planned canceled. The remodeling projects they postponed to who knows when, and some of them they wanted a new car. Well, not now.
Yeah,
it was far more tragic for them because they needed to live on their investments. They weren't just saving at that point. And today we're facing very similar financial risks, and it could be argued that it could be potentially more severe because like in 2000 we had a tech bubble with the internet.com bubble. And in 2008, we had a real estate bubble. Yet today, we have another tech bubble with AI, another real estate bubble, a commodities bubble, an energy bubble, an everything bubble.
So this isn't about just one problem area. It's about multiple risks that are all stacking up at the same time.
That's right. And the Fed's been kicking the can down the road for a long time with all their federal stimulus. So like I said earlier, there are a lot of very good things happening mechanically with our economy and our markets. However, something's got to give. And now done right, your retirement could be financially fantastic because of this awesome bull run we've had since 2009. But that said, without paying attention and without taking preventative measures, there is a very real risk of having much of it fall apart. So that's why I invite you to give us a call and come in for a conversation and find out where you stand. let's see how you've done. And like I said, oftentimes people are, once they discover how good of a situation they're really in, they become more confident and more ready to say, okay, I have done well. I am in a good position. It is the time in my life to just dial back some of that risk exposure so that I can enjoy the rest of my retirement years without having to stress out about any of it.
When we've got inflation and we've got a falling market hitting at the same time, what's usually the first crack that you see in a retiree's plan?
Well, the first crack comes when it takes a little bit of a dip and they get that first set of butterflies in their stomach, like, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Like we just had the beginning part of this year when we had that 10% dip. If when the market dipped the beginning part of this year and it went down 10% and you had those butterflies in your stomach, that's the check engine light telling you that you've got too much money exposed to too much risk. If you handled that in perfect stride and you didn't sweat it a bit, well, maybe your risk tolerance is just that high and great. However, it's still worth to check to find out, are your investments in line with your risk ability, not just your risk tolerance? But I think when you ask what I see as the first crack I see is their allocations based upon where they're going to be drawing their income from.
So how do you then help people protect that purchasing power without taking on more risk than they can really afford?
Well, it's a matter of making decisions at the right time. So meaning most people make their decisions based upon what they think is going to happen. Meaning, I think the market's going to go up, so I'm going to do this. I think the market's going to go down, so I'll do that. Rather than looking at the facts of what we know for sure that can't be questioned, which is what happened last year. So when we make our decisions based upon what happened last year, well, all the data is in. So if the market is up over last year, let's take our income out of our gains. It's kind of like you went to the market, you invested, it went up in value, take the win. But if the market's down, we'll say, you know what? I'm glad I prepared for this. The market's down, but I don't have to pull my money out of the markets because I have this safe account over here that I can draw from to take my income and give my investments time to recover.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manument Podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts so that you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Glenn Johnson, Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.